Hi, good morning. I don't know if you know this uh, about me. Why would you know this? Maybe you do this too and you're about to shoot a video. I just spent so much time like moving the lap. Like, should I go up here? Should I go down here? No. Do I want to show my arms? Can you see too much reflection? Do I have enough light? Actually, I have enough light, but then the glasses, that's all the problem. You have to sit there and confront with like, does my hair look okay? Do I need? Stupid. Ah, good morning. I wish. I wish I had something brand spanking new to say. And I know I say that every week. But I just keep observing more and more. Yesterday I referred to it as like a fire tornado. This fire tornado, I'm calling it a fire tornado. That's not what it is. It's this constant bickering and fighting and aggressive communication around things that are going on. Not all of the things, typically politically. And how it's really messing with people's mental health. The problem is people are choosing to get involved because they want, I think with good intention, to help people see another way of looking at things. And what I'm becoming, I mean, I've said this before, so it's coming up again, which is that regardless of your stance, if you put energy into something, you're putting energy into something. So you're feeding the fire tornado, whether you hate or love the thing that you're talking about. So I have two experiments for you, things that I'm doing too. One thing that I always do to some degree, I decided today I'm going to jump in a little deeper again, is a concept I learned from the School of Metaphysics, which is to think of yourself as a scientist and experiment with your life. Experiment with your thought process, experiment with your belief system. Experiment with the idea that you might be wrong about something. Pick one thing. Pick one thing to experiment with, something you feel hard and fast about, that you'd be willing to consider there might be more information. Be willing to have an open mind, if for no other reason than to keep your mind pliable. Because I don't think having a closed, rigid, staunchly ingrained in belief system kind of mind is good for us. It's definitely not good for us. So what am I doing with this? I'm on Gaia. I subscribe to Gaia because I decided I needed to, if I'm going to sit on my ass and watch things, I need to be choosing more content that's good for my brain. And so I subscribe to Gaia, which happens to be a company that's literally up the street from me, that does spiritual content. And I watched David Icke's Escape the Matrix series. It's about 12 episodes. And as a validation, he says a lot of stuff that I've been saying. And this is a man that's been working, I mean, I guess actually, even though he's older, we've been working on it about the same period of time. Him maybe a little bit longer. I think he's been speaking on it for about 30 years. So that's validating to me. But he also is a person that has the belief system that what we perceive as reality is actually a simulation, and that we are avatars, and that there's a controller. So one could say, like, I ascribe to the idea that we have a higher self. I don't know that I think they control us. I think the idea is that there's a communication between myself and myself in order to navigate this maze. I like to call it the maze trick. not the Matrix. It's the same idea. Just if you think of the idea of being in a maze and you come across an obstacle, instead of it being like this, it's not a problem because it's natural. Because that's part of the process, is to come across the obstacle and deal with it, and then get past it and get to the next one. So this week I'm considering the possibility that it is a simulation. And not just because he said it, because Jester Reed talks about it too. And I've had a couple weird glitchy things happen. Like, okay, in my house. So let me preface this first by saying, if you aren't aware, I'm a person that very much believes in the paranormal, in the spirit world, and just all of it. I ascribe to it. So I'm trying to loosen up on that. Maybe that's not true. Maybe it is something else. Maybe it's fine. So here's two things that happened to me, or happened last week. I observed that could also be considered glitches. So one was in my kitchen. I had water boiling for tea, and I had a tea ball that has a big long leaf on it. So it sticks out of the cup and it looks like a leaf. And without any water in it, and without me being near it, that sucker was moving. I looked over and it was like going round and round. And it wasn't scary. I just was like, huh. Okay. Also, I am in practice of speaking to my spirit guides and speaking to my ancestors. So to me, that was what was happening. Or maybe it's a glitch. And then at work, not too long after that, at a particular moment that I was looking into the hallway, a particularly busy moment, I looked in the hallway, and a person that appeared physically to look very much like my boss, wearing her coat, but kind of like this, like walked past the door, kind of like that. Their hair was down, almost like a I really have something I have to do right this second. I can't say hi, be right back kind of position. Went down the hallway, and then I needed to talk to her, so I went to look for her, and she was not there. And then she showed up about 10 minutes later wearing that coat. Her hair was up, and I was like, I fully saw that, and nobody else saw it. So, spirit, glitch, hallucination, apparition, I don't know. Um, I don't think it's a coincidence that I had 2 of those in a week with the work that I'm doing. Um, what does that all mean? I don't know. But I think it's hella more fun to consider the possibility that, with the fact that there's no way that any of us could know everything that's going on or be totally right about everything, that we choose to consider to explore and experiment with all of the constructs. Or even, if you don't want to listen to what somebody else has to say, if you take the time to disconnect from technology and do your own internal research, sitting and practicing listening to yourself, or just observing your thoughts, what conclusions can you come to? Um, I would much rather spend my time doing that than fighting with people to get them to believe what I believe. That's why I do this. You have an option to turn me off. I'm not here to force anybody to think anything. Ideally, I'm sparking a little bit of a fire for people to think a little bit differently, as such that they discover that they're able to solve their own shit. And that you don't actually have to reach outside of yourself. That's always been what this is. So, yeah, experimenting with the idea that this is a... Sorry, I'm playing with my bracelets. It's probably loud. Playing with the idea that this is a matrix. Now, I either missed something during the series or he didn't say it. His first approach to it was that the paranormal is normal and what we think is reality is actually false or an illusion, which I totally get. Then he goes into how it's a matrix and it's being controlled by other people. So then does that negate the paranormal? I'm not sure. I do think there is something plausible in the idea that everything is a fractal. Everything is a fractal of something bigger. Which makes me laugh. Because that means children are fractals. That means we're fractals of our parents, and they're fractals of their parents, and so on and so on. And it does mean that there's a bigger, who knows how much bigger. Is there an origin to the fractal? Origin source of the fractal? Is that, and is it real, or is it matrix, or is it, I don't know. These are, if you have any ideas on this, let me know, please. You can tell it's way more fun to consider the possibilities than to demand that you be right and then get pissy because people don't agree. We're all different. We're all the same. We're all fractals. We're all one. I hope you find a way to find your joy this weekend. And, oh, another thing I did. Sorry, not sorry. I decided to break up with Facebook yesterday. And it's something I've been thinking about for a while. You may not understand why that's a thing. You may be somebody who never got into it or wasn't that into it. I'm kind of way too into it. And I can already tell it hasn't even been 24 hours. And what's the word I'm looking for? The trigger to get on Facebook is incessant. Oh, I have something I want to say. Oh, I want to check in. And part of it is totally, I mean, it's all selfish in that it's for me to work on me, to check myself, to spend my time doing other things, more creative things, more things that are in alignment with what I want to be working on. And I think that's just it. I always think that things like Facebook or TikTok, which I was super into for a minute, and I know maybe that seems silly for someone my age, but there's some really wonderful creatives and some really wonderful spiritual people on there, and I really enjoyed following them. But I also wanted like co-creative experiences, and that wasn't happening. Maybe that's not the place for it. That's what I wanted. That's also kind of what I went with Facebook. It's more conversations, and it's not really happening. So at the risk of making it sound like I'm blaming other people, I'm not. It's the format. So I just shut it down. I'm gonna have a lot more time on my hands. So what's my plan? More exercise. Oh yeah, another thing, eat more vegetables. You'll like yourself so much more. Eat more vegetables. That's all I'm saying. Ideally, more meditation, more writing, more sewing, more tarot, more jewelry making. I also am in the active practice of experiencing life as a fish does to water, in that water represents abundance. A fish swims in water and doesn't even know that it's water. It just knows that it's all around it, and they coexist, and it gives the fish everything it needs to do what it needs to do. I am choosing to see abundance like that. My job is ending next month, and so as opposed to panicking and freaking out and losing my mind about it, I'm practicing being open to inspired guidance, inspired action, and practicing being a fish in a sea of abundance. So I will keep you apprised on how that plays out. So, with that, I hope you have a spectacular weekend. I hope you find moments of joy. I hope you make good decisions that are for the purpose of strengthening your mental health and your love of self. I'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.